Hi, I'm Dana. Welcome back to another little tidy with me. I'm getting into it. So for anybody new, I'm sorry the same people that come back every time have to hear the same thing, but for anybody that's new, these are just some little body doubling-esque videos that I do, largely because it means that I actually finally get around to actually doing the things I need to do, but also because some of y'all said that it helps you, and I do intend for this channel to be helpful. So I feel like it's a fun little community activity to do where we can just get our shit done together. So yeah, I just chatter some shite that you can have on in the background while you do whatever it is you need to do. If you're putting clothes away like I am, because this is one of the things that I just don't do, you know? Like, I remember to wash my clothes and then I spend several weeks just picking them out of the clean pile when I could just put them away as I am now, but it takes me forever to get around to it. You could be doing your dishes, you could be hoovering, mopping, I don't know. I have given up on doing a lot of household chores at the minute, I won't lie, because my housemate doesn't do them, so why should I? So that's where I am. Brief life update is that I'm still applying for places and being refused and being told to pay more money than I have to be allowed to move in a place. And it is increasingly looking like I might be homeless at the end of the month. But we're still trying, we're still applying to places. We'll see how that goes. I haven't even worn this dress. I just had loads of stuff fall off the hangers that I just didn't put back, that I now need to put back. But everything just feels so much effort at the minute. Are you kidding me? Does this not have anything to help me hang it? I hate everything lately. I'm really just not impressed by anything. I'm definitely quite burnt out. I really annoyed myself actually regarding burnout stuff, because obviously, as most people I think do, I sleep a lot more when I'm burnt out or generally not feeling good, and it meant that I was tired yesterday, but I needed to be up at midnight because Doctor Who's on at midnight now, and that's what they're doing. It's stupid, but okay. So I went for a little nappy nap at 8:30, and then I woke up at 7:30 the next morning, and it really annoyed me. It's been years and years and years and years since I last missed watching Doctor Who the moment that it released, and it really upset me. I was I've let myself down, and I'm over it a bit now, but this morning I was genuinely quite devastated about it. And then I went to a little cleaning thing at church, and I got to polish some wooden walls, and it was quite boring, to be honest with you, but it was good to get out and do something, I guess. I've been putting off doing my washing to do this video for a time when I feel chatty, and I was yeah, I feel I could chat. I have nothing to chat about. All I've been doing is looking at places online, places to rent, sending them to the person that is going to be my new housemate. They've been phoning up to book viewings, and we're quite often just rejected from viewings, to be fair. But then if we're not, they're then oh, and what do you guys do? And they're I'm self-employed and the person I'm moving with is unemployed, and we just get told to fuck off. So that's been so much fun. I'm really enjoying that. It isn't deeply affecting my mental health and making me feel absolutely worthless and I don't even deserve a place to live. No, nothing like that. I'm doing so brilliantly, everything's great. I look the way that I do because I had a shower and a hair wash, and I got this big alien, it's massive on me, it's a really big baggy thing that I wear. It's a short romper thing. I got it in Goodwill in America for $3, and there was a second one, and I was I don't need to, but I wish I'd gotten the second one as well, honestly, now. But I can't go back to Arizona. But yeah, it's actually been a bit of a game changer, I suppose, for me, because it's like a towel. It's not quite a towel texture, but it's not far off, you know? So instead of having to be all uncomfortable and sticky and just generally feel weird and be I'm cold now, and just all the sensory issues that I usually have when I get out of the shower, which is what prevents me from actually getting in the shower a lot of the time, is heavily reduced by just being able to throw this on and be done with that, and then put real pajamas on once I've naturally just air dried my dishes do, you know? I'm just so tired of life being so stressful. And I think it's especially getting on me a little bit because my friends, I only really, that's a lie. I have two very close friends, and then I have two other people that I see as and when I can, and I do like them a lot, and I do feel I've got a decent degree of closeness to them, but I just don't see them that often, so it's hard to feel close to someone you don't see an awful lot, you know? But yeah, I've got like my two really, really close friends that I see a lot, and they're the people that like I feel recharged by being around, you know, and that's the fun time that I look forward to and stuff. And obviously at the minute, one of them, we're trying to move in together, so our time together is often spent talking about like the logistics of that and how things are going with that, and like discussing like, did you like this place? Do you think we should apply for this place? Did you get this application in? You know, like it's not the normal fun times that we have because we're having to deal with that. And my other friend has their own like absolute pile of shit going on that I'm often helping with. So that means that a lot of our hangs are sorting shit together and getting shit done in just a different subject matter to the other friend that I have. So it does feel like all of my, what would usually be like the time that I look forward to and the time that's my downtime and my recharge time, is just further stress and bringing up all the things that I'm already stressed and really anxious about. And I get like, you know, it needs to be done. I'm not like, and then bringing up things that I'm anxious about. Like, it has to be done. I'd way rather get anxious about it now and actually sort it and deal with it than to get anxious about it in a month's time when I'm absolutely fucked, you know? But it still sucks that it's just like more and more stress every single day from every direction it feels. And, you know, like my friends are being as supportive and lovely and brilliant as they are, like, and can be. But we're all like really just going through it and it fucking sucks. And that's where I really lean more on media to try and like cheer myself up and feel better. And it's been working to a point, but I just haven't really been finding stuff that like I can get super into and engage with in the way that I usually can. And I've just finished watching like a bunch of stuff with Justin Long and Jason Lee. When my friend was here the other day, we were chatting about shit and they were like, oh, it's not like how you've like got your thing with Jason Long. And they carried on talking. I knew what they meant, so I didn't correct them, but Jason Long like has really tickled me. But now it's like, because they're my two like things at the minute, like they are separate, but they've also been a couple of things together, and I'm just like in a moment where I'm really into both of them just as is, and it just really tickled me to like mash them up as the same person. But yeah, I've been watching a lot of stuff with them, enjoying it massively. They're in some really good stuff, but they are also in some like absolute shits, as most actors are. Like that's the way things go. And they're also in some stuff where I'm like, I can appreciate that this is good, but it's just so not for me that I really am struggling to care. And none of it's like super long, you know, like I'm not the kind of, like I wouldn't put like when I was watching everything that everyone from House had done, once I got to Once Upon a Time, I got like 3 seasons in and I just couldn't do it anymore, and I didn't watch anything else with anyone out of House in intentionally for like a good long while. But I do also really love House. I also, on the last bit, I think it was last Sunday's video, the video I made about the movies and TV shows I've been watching recently, which is why I don't want to delve too far into it here. But a lot of people left me really great suggestions, and a lot of people suggested Star Trek to me, and that boils my blood. And I don't reply to them because I'm aware that like it's my own little thing and like everyone's suggesting things to be nice, and like it's very much like, it's not even one of those things where I'm like, oh, you have the best of intentions but you're wrong. It's one of those things where I'm like, you have the best of intentions but I have this like weird deep personal lore/trauma about Star Trek, so I can't. Because my whole thing as a kid was that my things were Doctor Who and Lord of the Rings. I loved Doctor Who and Lord of the Rings, always wanted to be watching one or the other. And my brother was obsessed with Star Trek. And because my brother was the diagnosed autistic person that kicked up a massive big fuss if anything didn't go his way, if I was sat watching Doctor Who or Lord of the Rings, he would just walk into the living room, take the remote and put Star Trek on, and I'd be like, hey, I was watching my fucking show there, lad. I wasn't, I was like 8, I would have just like been like, Mom! But my parents like refused to do anything because he's autistic, he can't help it, let him watch his show, it brings him comfort and joy, just let him do it. So I spent hours and hours and hours of my childhood watching Star Trek because it was what was on the television when I'd been like halfway through Fellowship or some shit, you know? And I can't watch Star Trek, like any iteration of Star Trek, without just feeling as angry as I did as a child over how unfair it is that I have to watch Star Trek. And it's so annoying because it is like, so many of you suggested it to me because it is the exact kind of thing you'd think I'd enjoy. I love a bit of space shit, I love some spaceship stuff, I love some alien shit. Like it's right down my fucking alley, and it's just been ruined for me forever. I'm never ever going to watch Star Trek because it just makes me angry. I went to the cinema in like 2012 or something. I went to the cinema a very long time ago when the Star Trek with Chris Pine, Zoe Saldana and Benedict Cumberbatch came out. I went for Benedict Cumberbatch, I was a BBC kid, wasn't I? but like I hated it. And I'm fully aware that like realistically, like technically it's not a bad film, but I just fucking despised it just because it's Star Trek, and I'm like, why the fuck should I have to watch Star Trek when I could be watching Doctor Who or Lord of the Rings, you know? Some of the other suggestions I am intrigued by. Some of them are things that I've never heard of before, things I've been thinking about for a while. And one of the things that I've been thinking about is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because I had a really, really brief phase as a kid where I was really into Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it was on I want to say Channel 4. I don't quite remember what channel it was on, but it was on Saturdays at 6:30, which meant that like because the episodes are what, like 40 minutes long or so, Doctor Who was on at 7, so at like 10 to 7 I would just switch over and watch Doctor Who instead on the weeks that Doctor Who was on. So I started watching Buffy because they'd started like showing it from the first episode, so I watched maybe like the first 6 or 7, maybe a little bit more, and then the new season of Doctor Who started, so I would have to stop watching the episode like less than halfway through and turn over to the BBC to make sure I was in time for Doctor Who. So I fell off pretty quick, and even when Doctor Who ended I tried to go back to it. I didn't know what was happening anymore, and I was also like maybe 10 years old, so I probably shouldn't have been watching Buffy anyway, to be fair, but I was really into Charmed and Angel at the time, which a lot of people suggested, and I love it when I get suggestions for things that I've like already watched, because I'm like, y'all know me, like you get it, you see what kind of like vein I'm on here. But I have already watched Charmed and Angel and I adored them. And for anyone wondering why I watched Angel but not Buffy, it was because it was on after Charmed. Like Charmed was on Saturdays at 8, which was why it didn't interfere with Doctor Who. So I would watch that with my parents, and then my parents would like, I don't know what they did actually. I think my mum was still studying at that time. My parents went off and did something. I was left alone, and Angel was on directly after Charmed for like all of my childhood. But again, I often like I think I was just too young for it, and it went over my head. I didn't know what was happening a lot in it, to be honest with you. So I might do Angel again, but I've been really, really tempted to get into a little Buffy phase, because like I feel like it's kind of similar. Obviously, like plot wise and stuff, it is nothing like the X-Files, but I just feel like for like general vibe, I think it's just because it's the 90s, I don't know, I feel like it has like a vibe that's somewhere between the X-Files and not Tomb Raider, Relic Hunter, like it's somewhere between those for me. I do like that vibe, and I think I might delve into it. But I'm also in a place at the minute where I just don't feel like I really want to start like a super long show. I know Buffy's not like the longest show in the universe, but it's what, like 6 seasons or something? I don't know what I'm asking, like you're gonna answer me in real time. But you know, it's like, it's not a short show. And that's not what I'm feeling right now. I think it's because I started watching Gilmore Girls with one of my friends, and obviously the standard person doesn't spend like 9 hours a day watching stuff, so it's been taking us a really long time to get through Gilmore Girls, and I think maybe once I finally fucking finish that, then I'll be ready for like a long show and go for Buffy. But I do also really want to rewatch Twin Peaks, because I watched that for like the first time around this time last year. I loved it. That's obviously like directly my kind of shit. Like I love a spooky little FBI agent. Never gonna beat Mulder and Scully, but I did really fucking love Coop. So I do think that I want to do a Twin Peaks rewatch, but I think I want it to be that's the thing, I'm like, I think I want to do it in the autumn, and it's like it's been grey and raining all day today, just do it for the British summertime. But like that's not even a particularly long show, and that just feels a bit long for me at the minute. I'm just like, it's not quite what I'm looking for. So I'm just watching random crap and waiting for the right thing to come around. And I think my next move, like I've got a few things open. I looked at my laptop because they're open on my laptop, but I can't see them. But I do have a few like movies and shows open on there at the minute that I think I'm probably going to get around to and actually watch in the next like couple of days. I really want to see, this is the thing, is I watch a lot of like this year's movies because I like to like keep up with what's going on and stuff, but I often like don't really enjoy them all that much. So I do have a bunch of like current movies open that I'm intending to watch, but I think it's more likely that I'm gonna do a Kevin Smith rewatch yet again. It's just bringing me so much like comfort and joy and happiness and like good feelings at the minute. You know, they just always hit. They never like, I was gonna say they never change, and like no movie does, but you know what I mean, like it always hits the same, it always gives me the same emotions, it always, like the same moments always make me laugh aloud. They're just the perfect films for me, and I really enjoy them. But I do also like get some guilt of some sort when I'm watching the same things over and over, and I'm like, there's so much new stuff being made all the time, you know? Like, something that's just released could be my absolute new favourite thing that'll kickstart like a special interest for the next 10 years in the way that Kevin Smith did when I was 14, you know? Like, there's so much out there that I can consume, and I'm just consuming the same things over and over and over again. And yes, I enjoy it. Yes, it brings me comfort. So you'd think I wouldn't get annoyed about it, but I feel genuinely like I'm like letting down future me by not engaging in current stuff so that I can find something new as well, you know? And it's so weird because that's how I am with movies and TV shows, but that's not how I am with music at all. See, every now and again I'll like find a new artist or a new song and add it to like the repertoire, but for the most part I've been listening to the same music for the last like 10 years or so, you know? Like, I like what I like and I stick with it. But even then, I feel like I tie a lot of my music taste to just my special interests, which, you know, movies and TV shows. Because, like, if you went through my playlist, most songs that I listen to are connected to something, you know? Like, the top of my playlist, I say playlist, I have, like, 3,000 liked songs, and it's just any song that I've ever enjoyed. And honestly, a vast majority of them are just 80s music that was either in or reminds me of Ashes to Ashes. A whole variety of it's just 90s stuff that was in Kevin Smith films or makes me think of Jay and Silent Bob. You know, it's just like, does it tickle my brain in the right way? And if it's tickling my brain in the right way, it's probably because it ties into a special interest for me in some way. And all of my special interests are movies and TV shows. You know, like, even when, like, the only band that I had a big Beatles phase, to be fair, but I got into the Beatles because Peter Jackson talked about them, because he'd put them into the fucking van that drives over the cliff in, I can't remember if it's Bad Taste or Brain Dead, but you know what I'm on about. So that's why I got into the Beatles. I had like a big Alanis Morissette fan when I got into Kevin Smith. I had my big Foo Fighters phase, that's what I was about to talk about, because I'd watched The X-Files and Dave Grohl was in The X-Files, and is that right? No, I watched Sonic Highways. It was the fact that they'd done a TV show, and then it was because I was into the Foo Fighters and I found out that Dave Grohl was in The X-Files that I then watched The X-Files and got really into Gillian Anderson. But that's what I mean, like, everything ties back to something for me for the most part. There's some stuff, like, I just got into Doctor Who. I was 8 years old and my mum was like, hey, I watched this as a kid, come have a look. You know, like, some things, most of my like longer running special interests, I'd say, are ones that I've just like always had, and I don't really like, they don't really tie back to anything. That's just like, that's the base thing, you know, that's the pillar that all the rest of it was built upon. I think Twilight was one of my first special interests that really made my parents like think I was weird, to be honest with you, because as much as they were like, oh, you're not autistic, they also, like, before I brought up thinking I was autistic, they were like, you're not normal, like, what is wrong with you? So after we'd just moved to Denmark, and I definitely latched on to Twilight in part because it was one of the only books being sold in English in the like Danish bookstores that were to my like age demographic thing. And then the movie had come out, and I saw the movie 3 times in the cinema, once on my own, once with my dad, and once with my mum, because see that, like, sometimes they'd like in Denmark especially, they'd sometimes just be like, it's safe, go do whatever the fuck you want. And I'd be like, I'm going to the cinema, I'm gonna have a look at these shops, and then get the bus back home. And then other times they'd be like, the world isn't safe, you can't go anywhere alone, I'll have to go to the cinema with you. And that's when they'd be like, why do I have to watch this shit? Like, it was a whole thing. But I got so fucking into Twilight so quick. And I think there's a multitude of reasons behind it, to be fair. And I had a therapist at one point that told me that most people that are really into like vampire stuff, and especially like kids and teenagers that are really into vampire stuff, it's probably because you feel constantly drained by the people that are around you. And I was like, fair, yeah. Like, I do think that somewhat plays into it. I definitely was just like, I relate. But I also like was a little teenager stuck in the middle of nowhere that was constantly like, I wish somebody would take me away. And Edward Cullen would have been great for that, you know? But obviously being in Denmark, like, we'd gotten the film like reasonably close to the same time as the US got it, I believe. Like, I don't feel like there was that much difference, but it took a while to like, for the like phenomenon of Twilight to hit Denmark. Like, it just, so for a good long while, I was getting my dad to drive me to Germany because like, there was just nothing about Twilight in Denmark, you know, like I'd found it in English in this one shop, we had it in the cinema, and that was it. Like, I remember shitting my pants at one point because we'd gone to a bookstore in Weiler and they had like a little basket of sweets that like had the Twilight logo on them. I lost my fucking mind. I coated it in like 50 like fucking covers of 50 layers of nail polish, like clear nail polish, so I could preserve it forever. Because I was getting my dad to drive me to Germany, which to be fair was only like a 2-hour drive there and back. So he would buy like cheap beer. That was his purpose for going. And I would grab any fucking magazine that I saw that had Robert Pattinson or Kristen Stewart on it, and I had so many. Like, I wish I still had them. I had the weirdest fucking posters because they were edited for like German magazines, and like the filters and shit that they were putting on them, they were the weirdest posters. And I'd gotten like a bunch of the little like character cards. I feel like everything used to do that. Like, I have some X-Files ones up on my wall, literally. I did. Yeah, I see them now. But you know, like the little, like, slightly smaller than a postcard, and you'd get them like in DVDs a lot of the time, or with magazines, and like it'd be like the character on the front, and then you'd turn it over and it'd be like, name Edward Cullen, age 17/109. You know, that kind of shit? Likes baked beans or whatever. Oh, not for Edward Cullen, like, but you get the vibe. Like, I had a bunch of those for like all of the Twilight characters. It wasn't the whole family. Emmett and Jasper were missing, I think. There were 2 of them that were missing, and it really annoyed me. I was like, why wouldn't you just include everybody if you're gonna do this? But I used them as bookmarks, and kids in school would like take them sometimes and be like, what even is this? No one's heard of this. What is this thing that you're obsessed with? Like, they really picked on me for it. And then like 2 years later, everyone was obsessed with Twilight, and I was like, what the fuck, guys? But that was the first time that I'd had like sort of any degree of freedom in that way. Like, as a younger child, I didn't really realise that I could decorate my bedroom, because my parents had made like a big deal of redecorating it as Bratz for me when I was like maybe like 7 or so. So I just had a Bratz room, and I didn't really realise that I could change that of my own accord. You know, I sort of thought I had to wait for my parents to be like, you've aged up to a new demographic and we're going to revamp your room. But once we moved to Denmark, they were like, your room looks horrible, you're not gonna put some posters up or anything. And I was like, oh shit, I have to do this, okay. So I pretty quickly like plastered my room with Twilight posters, and like, bear in mind I was 12 maybe, so I wasn't very good at doing it. So like, some of them were like overlapping onto the fucking ceiling, onto the skirting boards. Like, you could not see the walls for Twilight posters. And that was when my parents walked into my bedroom and were like, first off, the fucking blue tack marks, you're gonna get a fucking beaten for this. My parents never hit me. They just made a lot of threats. I don't know if that's like actually a good thing or not, but you know, we live. I'm still here. Don't hit your kids. Don't threaten your kids. Be nice to your fucking kids. I'm always like, I want to downplay it so that I don't have to be like, I have trauma. But then when I do downplay it, I'm like, that's actually horrible though. Like, don't do that. Don't threaten your children with violence just because like you're like, oh, I'm not actually gonna do it. It scares them, I can tell you. But yeah, they got real pissed off about how much blue tack that meant that was on the walls. And then they were just like, are you comfortable in here? And I was like, of course I am. I've got Edward Cullen looking over me. Bella Swan's over there, like, why would I not be comfortable in this room? And they were just like thoroughly confused as to how I liked something enough to want my room to look like that, how I could be comfortable having my room looking like that. Like, it baffled them. And it's so weird to me that as people who like had an autistic son and worked with disabled people, how they didn't recognise that as autism. Like, there'd been a bunch of stuff in the past, you know, like I had like a lot of Doctor Who merch and things like that, and I had like so many different like collections of stuff and whatever. But that was the first time that like I feel like it was just so obvious that I had a special interest, you know? Like, this wasn't just some, like, bollocks. Like, it's a special interest. And it's one of the things that I never think to, like, really pull up as a special interest. But at the same time, every fucking autumn when it starts cooling down, I'm suddenly, like, trying to dress like Bella Swan and being like, I want to go and see, like, I want to go where there's those, like, tall, skinny trees, like, in Twilight. I want to go to Fort Washington so fucking bad. Like, it's one of those things that I definitely like sort of internalized and tried to convince myself to not like because of the way that people turned on Twilight, you know? Like, when I first got into it, no one really knew what it was. So as much as I did get picked on for it, it was because it was this like random thing no one had heard of, you know? And then I had a couple of years in Denmark where everyone was into it and it was the big thing and it was fucking brilliant. I loved it. I remember doing so many Twilight role plays with people on the mileyworld.com chat. It was Did anyone else have that phase? But yeah, and then we moved back to England, and I think the UK had it for like a little bit longer now, so like gotten the like craze around it earlier or whatever, because people hated it, you know, like in the UK people already like just hated Twilight, and I was trying real fucking hard to fit in. So I very correctly was like, you know, like anything that happened I'd be like, it's still a better love story than Twilight. And people would be like, I thought you loved Twilight, like why are you suddenly shitting on it? And I'd be like, I've woken up, I understand now, it is shit. And like, I never actually stopped liking it, and I still absolutely really fucking like it. And it honestly felt like a really big healing moment to like just buy a fucking Twilight t-shirt in Target, you know? And that's the thing that like kind of shocked me as well, because like I say, like I had my dad driving me to Germany, and it was a big thing when we found a sweet that had the Twilight logo on it. Walking into a Target and just immediately seeing Twilight t-shirts was crazy. Oh, this is actually probably a quite good time to talk about America though, because I keep trying to think of different like entire videos that I could make about it, but I'm not really coming up with anything that wasn't an entire video. But so many things about the US just blew my fucking mind. And like, I feel like Americans are aware that a lot of the rest of the world have a perception that Americans are kind of a little bit slow and a little bit silly and a little bit stupid, and like the worldwide perception of Americans isn't all that great. And I wouldn't say I thoroughly bought into it, because obviously my best friend is an American, but I did have some degree of like terror and fear that I was gonna go to America and like hate Americans, you know? Like I thought y'all were kind of gonna be really annoying and it was gonna be kind of crappy. Like I had serious concerns, and they were so unwarranted, because Americans are so much fucking nicer than British people. Like I'm sorry, but they are. Like I know it's like in the shops and like with like clerks and stuff, is clerks a slur? I watched a movie the other day where someone got called a clerk because he was like doing the cashier stuff, and he was like, don't fucking call me that. I don't mean it in a derogatory way. I think of it just because of like Clerks the movie, you know? But yeah, so like I know that it's because of scripts and tipping culture, and like there's a whole load of stuff, but people in shops are just like in restaurants and stuff like that are just so much fucking nicer than they are here. And just people on the street as well, like people complimented me, just random strangers would be like, nice hair, nice outfit, you know, whatever. I did it back to like, not back, like I did it to a couple of people where I was just like, they actually are wearing a sick outfit or have really awesome hair or whatever, and it was just like really normal and fine. Whereas like in the UK, like I don't go out of my way to speak to strangers, I think we're all aware of that. But the other, God, it was a few months ago now, but I was walking and I turned a corner and the person in front of me just had like the most gorgeous fucking outfit on. They had this like really bright top and a really nice skirt, and their hair looked really cool, you know, like they just looked fucking great. And because I just turned the corner, I wasn't expecting it, so I just went, oh, you look great. And she shit herself, like she looked terrified for a moment, and she was like, oh, thank you. But yeah, like in the US it was just so normalised that you'd be walking down and just be like, oh, I love your pants, you know. No one thought it was weird or reacted strangely, or like, you know, it just feels like there is a bit more of like, not community per se, but like it's not so out of the norm for people just talk to each other in America. I know that I've brought this up a couple of times in like various places now, but going with someone who's a wheelchair user, people actually fucking moved, and it annoys me all the more now that we're back in the UK, because I saw what it was like when people weren't like they are in the UK. Because the way it works in the UK is my friend rolls forward in their wheelchair because that's how they fucking get around, and people get in the way, people walk straight at them, and then they're like, you ran me over, and it's like, you stuck your foot in between the fucking wheels as they were going, like you got yourself run over. People will nearly sit on them, people will walk straight into them, people will just stand in front of them and make them wait. People are so rude and completely lack any fucking awareness of the space that they're in. And as if that isn't fucking annoying enough, the whole like British culture of humour or whatever means that 99% of people that do that shit then try to like make some shitty joke out of it and act like it's like, oh, aren't I a silly little Billy? And it's like, no, this is the 7th time that it's happened in the last hour. Just move out of the fucking way. Like have just the slightest bit of fucking awareness of the people around you. And I very genuinely thought that was going to be a way worse issue in America. I thought that it was going to be like the UK times 10, because we're given this idea that Americans are just sort of like bumbling idiots that don't have a clue about anything and don't care about anyone but themselves and blah blah blah. And Americans fucking noticed. Americans had spatial awareness. Americans, within like a few feet of approach would notice, oh, there's a person in a wheelchair. Wheelchairs go straight forward because they're on fucking wheels. I should move out the way. And they moved and we went past. It was 1,000 times easier to just move around, you know? And like, this is the friend that I go to 99% of places with, you know? Like, they're my comfort person, they're the person that speaks for me. Like, you know, like, and on top of that, they're my best friend. And I'm talking about winter. There's a whole video about them now. You know, like, I adore them. I want to be with them. I want to go places with them. And it was just so much fucking easier in the US, you know? And it feels just so unfair and crappy and shitty. And I don't understand where the, like, European mentality about Americans has come from. Because I had, like, the best fucking trip. And all the people, like, we stayed with my best friend's cousins initially, like, one of their cousins and the person their cousin's married to. And then their best friend, who has 2 housemates, and their best friend's husband, who's also, like, a best friend. Everyone... I wasn't a fan of one of the housemates. But everyone else that I met, you know, was, like, so fucking nice. And I feel like I can usually tell when people are faking niceness, and it didn't feel fake, you know? Like, it felt so genuine. And especially, like, some of the restaurants that we went into and stuff where, like, when I was in LA, one of the first restaurants we went to was the Moody Vegan. And, like, I'm telling you who they are in case you're ever in LA so that you can go, because they were so fucking nice. Because we'd gone in and I was like, this is my first ever, like, proper breakfast burrito. Like, the only other ones I've ever had are in fucking Wetherspoons or ones I've made myself, you know? Like, this is the first time I'm getting, like, a proper, like, American breakfast burrito. That's exciting. I was excited. And when they heard that, they were like, oh my god, amazing, we like that you love it, here's some extra stickers. Like, they were so fucking nice, you know? And also, loads of places in America just give you stickers for, like, existing. Like, dispensaries gave me stickers. I did really want to put them on my suitcase, and I was like, I don't want to call attention to myself by having a load of fucking dispensary stickers on my suitcase. Like, that's asking to get searched, isn't it? Not that I had anything. They could have searched me. I did get patted down by TSA, and I think I did talk about this in one of my other videos, but, like, one of my absolute biggest fears because we flew from Manchester to Ireland to LA, had our little week in LA, flew from LA to Phoenix, and then drove back from Arizona to LA to fly back. And going from LA to Phoenix, my absolute biggest fear, like, everyone... So many of you guys gave me the absolute fear. Actually, it's your guys' fault, because you told me about your horrible experiences with TSA. And, like, authoritative people just scare the shit out of me anyway. And authoritative Americans have such a different, like, you are so empowering, my dude. You can stop, like, barking orders at me. I'm going to listen to you. Like, I'm so fucking scared. Just let me, please, you know? Like, you see what I mean? Like, going from, when we went to, because we flew through Ireland, we got to do, like, the American border in Ireland. And the guy that we spoke to there that's, like, the American Border Force or whatever, he scared the fuck out of me. Like, I've not done anything wrong, and he hadn't either. Like, it's not like he was, like, particularly aggressive or mean or anything. He was literally just sat there talking to me and checking my passport and shit, and he just scared the ever-loving fuck out of me. He petrified me. So then when we were flying through from fucking LA to Phoenix, my biggest fear was that I was going to be pulled by TSA and, like, patted down, and that I would have to speak to them, because obviously, like, going through airports with someone who's in a wheelchair, they take a hell of a lot longer than I do, because people are, like, fuffing and faffing about, and just, like, no one ever seems to know what to do with a wheelchair, and it's like, surely this happens on the daily. Like, I'm sorry, it's a big airport, like, you experience people in wheelchairs more often than this experience would lead us to believe. But yeah, so I was petrified. That was my biggest fear. And I went through the little, like, machine thing that they have you standing and put your arms up and shit. And I came out, and she was like, she told me that I was going to do the accent, but it just, no. See, if I'm just doing, like, general American, that's fine. Doing a specific American person feels like it's really rude and racist for me. So I'm not going to do an accent, but she explained how, like, 2 things had, like, popped up on the thing, one under my armpit and one in my crotch. So she was going to have to pat me down. And I think she saw the, like, just absolute terror on my fucking face. And she was like, we can take you back into a private room, we can do it here, we can do whatever. And I could see Winter through the little like metal detectory thing, so I was like, please just get it over with, like just do it here, just fucking do it, just pat me down, bitch. I didn't say that to her. I think that would have landed me in a private room. But you know, like I was like, let's just do it. I have nothing to hide. I'm not smuggling anything. Like, you're gonna pat me and find out there's nothing there and be like, you can go, and I'll be like, cool. So she did it, and again, like, this was my worst fear. Like, it made me so anxious. I wasn't entirely sure if I wasn't gonna have a panic attack or a meltdown or something at first. And like, it was just so easy, you know? Like, I think the thing with the TSA agents, men scare me a bit more anyway. I'm sorry, I wish they didn't, but that's what my past experiences have done to me. So I get why the like TSA man at the border control dude like absolutely fucking petrified me. But with the lady that like patted me down, she, like, I didn't mind it. Like, not in a weird way, but like, she was just so like emotionless and authoritative that it was like, yeah, like, you don't entirely feel like a real person. Like, obviously I respect that she is, I wouldn't do anything weird or be a freak, but like, she just felt so fucking robotic that I was like, yeah, like, you're not gaining anything from this, it doesn't matter any to you, just fucking do it, you know? So my fears around the TSA people were definitely entirely unfounded. And like, I'm not trying to shit on anyone, because obviously you're living your experiences because they're your experiences, and I felt like I was able to like prepare myself by reading them, you know? But from my experience, it definitely just wasn't all that serious. It is serious obviously, but it just wasn't that bad. And I think that because I very much just have the view of like, they're just doing this to keep me safe, you know? Like, they don't know that I'm someone who needs to be kept safe. They just know that they've got to keep people safe, and once they've done it, they'll know that I'm one of the people they're keeping safe, and it will be fine. I don't know, it's one of those things where like, I find it very easy to, after airport and like plane experiences and things like that, to be like, oh, it just happened and it was all fine. But it's because I'm so anxious in the moment that I like dissociate my face off and I'm barely even aware that it's happening to me at the time. Like, I'm very much not okay when I'm actually going through this shit. It's just once it's over and I'm like, oh, it was completely fine, I'm just being a little bit silly yes again. But once again, like I did earlier in the video, I also like don't think it's the like slightest bit silly when it's other people, you know? Like, when it's other people's fears and phobias and like concerns and whatever else, anxieties, I'm like, that's so valid. Obviously, like, you've been through stuff and you've heard other people's experiences, of course you'd have those types of nerves and shit. But when it's me, I'm like, you should have put your big pants on and fucking gotten over it, shouldn't you? Like, dickhead. But I also, no one else annoys me quite like I annoy myself, you know? Lots of people annoy me more, it's just not in the same way that I annoy myself. I also am still really jealous that like Lord of the Rings merch in the US is just a thing. No merch over here. I had a Frodo t-shirt when I was maybe like 14 or so. My parents got me an actual real gold version of the One Ring for my 16th birthday. And that is the only merch I've ever owned beyond those trousers and another little Hobbit hole jumper that is so fucking cute that I got again while I was in America. Y'all's merch pops off. Half of my current Doctor Who merch is from fucking America. That's disgusting. I've just put an order in with some US friends to try and get the fucking TARDIS hair clip that's now in Hot Topic. Some of you have offered to send me stuff in the past and I've said no or just ignored it because it made me a bit uncomfortable, and I don't want you to think that you have to like send me things and like, you know, I don't want to breed parasocial relationships. If someone will buy me the Doctor... See, this is the thing. You don't even have to buy me it. If you will let me send you the money on PayPal for the Doctor Who fucking TARDIS haircut that's in Hot Topic, and then you'll go and buy it and send it to me, I will give you the money for it. I need that shit in my life so fucking bad, okay? Like, I know that I've just gotten really serious and I feel really silly about it now, but I want it so bad. For now, though, my washing basket's empty. I just need to put my shit away. I'm so tired of hearing myself speak. So tired of it. Well done for making it through. Well done for doing whatever it was you did while this was going on. If you didn't do anything, honestly, well done just for just fucking making it through and actually watching this far. I wouldn't. I say that, but I am going to watch this whole video through when I edit it, so who's the fool now, bitch? So yeah, I tend to try and make more like chilled, fun videos like this on Sundays, and I make like actual real content around autism on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the other days that I post on. I also post over on TikTok and Instagram for anyone that wants to follow me over there. I know some of you guys said that you don't watch TikToks, but you would like me to upload like the TikTok content to the YouTube shorts thing, and I don't, purely because all of my TikToks are well over a minute long. Most of my TikToks are well over a minute long. I have added some to shorts that were the right length, but like you can only upload 60 seconds to YouTube shorts, whereas TikToks, I can upload hour-long TikToks now. No one wants that. But yeah, most of my TikToks are just too long to upload as YouTube shorts. I'd have to like massively edit them down. I don't think they'd really be like comprehensible after that point, so that's why I don't do that. But I am thinking maybe I'll try and make TikTok content more aware of. I'm gonna try and figure something out. I would like to post more shit on shorts. I think it'd be fun. But for now, oh, and you can also follow me over on Ko-fi or Patreon, where you can donate money to me so that I'm not super fucking poor. But most of us are really poor right now. There's a cost of living crisis, so you don't have to. There's no pressure. There's never ever any pressure. It's all just linked back down below. You can find and do whatever you want with the information that I provide you. You know, it's just information. There's no pressure. I've forgotten how to like control the saliva that's in my mouth apparently, so I am going to go before it gets really gross. Whoever you are, wherever you are, if you're having a lovely morning, evening, day, afternoon, week, month, year, and I will see you again in a couple of days.